Welcome back, everybody. If you missed game number 2, I feel sorry for you, as finally, this man, sorry we didn't get it on screen, he got the MVP in that last one. Some insane damage coming out of Ghost, as SANDBOX are the first team to take one game away from Griffin here in the LCK Spring 2019. And now the question remains going into game number 3. Can SANDBOX be the first team to take a series away from them? And once again, kill Chovy more, as he did die once right at the end of that game. Goes down to about 59 KDA. Still not half bad.
Slow down there, Brendan. Lee Sedol took down one game off AlphaGo. All right, so
yeah,
one
true.
game doesn't, not the end of the world. But it really did look like Griffin were testing their limits. It was like watching a weightlifting competition. They just keep adding on more weight. They're like, yeah, you can have Cassio, Akali, Lucian. You can take whatever you want. We'll even play Sion and Aatrox for you. And yeah, their muscles just pop. So now Griffin back on the blue side, starting things off with a Thresh ban right against Joker. And now we'll see how SANDBOX want to respond. Braum now being banned away.
It's interesting that both these teams ban the same supports both times. Thresh and Braum are just not being played. And once again, same bans. Lissandra comes out, Camille comes out. Same stuff from the same teams. So interesting to see how the bans don't change. I know a lot of people are talking about Akali, how you have to take her away, how you have to ban her. But I feel like that onus is on SANDBOX on the red side. Otherwise, Chovy could just first pick it again.
Yep. Wow.
Ooh, okay.
It's really strange when you have Viper, Chovy on your team. Why are you banning Cassio on blue side? It really just makes no sense. Unless they're just never getting to play it in scrims and they don't want to try to play it or something. That's the only thing I can think of. Akali now banned away. Lucian is available. So is Urgot. So we're probably saying, please just give me Urgot or something, please.
Yeah.
Viper, you don't need Lucian.
I need Urgot.
Oh, God.
Me.
I gotta take it. He needs a drink real quick. Hold on.
He's not ready for Summit in this game, as I suppose they just didn't want a handshake on taking Akali and giving Cassiopeia.
Yeah.
And, but I mean, as you say, they have a lot of strong players that could have just hopped on the Cass. Instead, they would rather take the first pick of the Lucian and take, the other side of a Sion versus Urgot if it does go into that kind of matchup. As Aatrox once again will be picked up here, this time on the side of SANDBOX.
Yeah. And we'll have to see what they accompany that with. There's a few options if you want to go more scaling and mid-rangey and have Oh, Urgot.
Oh, you thought it was going to be anything else?
I thought it would be Ezreal here. I think this is a fine timing to squeeze an Ezreal, but
I was looking for Heimerdinger. That was my
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
That was my pick. No, it's Urgot. He's back.
We'll have to see now what Griffin wants to do. And if you're Griffin right now, you don't need to gamble on a team composition similar to last game. You can just choose a superior scaling composition, have Tarzan on a much more relevant jungler than the Aatrox, try to take the game that way. And probably going to be Sion for Sword. I can never imagine actually wasting the Sion in mid lane on Chovy. And there's the Zoe, and that's the champion I was hoping to see last game. Not that the LeBlanc was actually an issue for why Griffin lost last game, but it is one of Chovy's main champions. And don't let that win rate at the bottom fool you. Don't let those has-been mids deceive you about how good this champion can be.
Chovy's played Zoe once, and he has a win on it, so that tells you a lot.
Chovy makes up 25% of Zoe's wins.
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
And now Victor being locked in for SANDBOX, and the Victor is still flexible. It could definitely still be flexed with the Aatrox going into jungle, but not sure if OnFleek wants to try to go that route. Bans now coming in. Shen being banned away now.
They've had enough of that.
Yeah, they've certainly had enough. And with Lucian and Zoe, it's kind of hard to narrow down the jungler pool as it is. So probably just expect to see another support type ban. And if you end up doing that, SANDBOX can probably just blind their jungler and then go for a good support matchup, coupling it with the Victor. That would probably be the best route to take inside of the draft phase, because if you were to ban away a jungler here, and then you pick a support, you might just show your bottom lane face up, and the jungle already doesn't really matter. You go through your head for all the meta junglers and what really fits right now. There's nothing that dramatically complements either team composition that you're like, oh man, we have to get this, or wow, that archetype of a champion really fits well into this. And so it's really difficult to ban against. And so yeah, there you go. Another support ban by SANDBOX. It's like Griffin talking about something. They ban away the LeBlanc.
The what?
LeBlanc.
Oh, okay. Yeah, of course.
No, I know that she's called LeBlanc. So don't worry about that.
Okay,
Brendan. I
was getting scared.
Yeah.
As finally we get to see On Fleek onto something new. We saw 2 games Elise in a row, but this time around he will be hopping onto the Nocturne.
Sort of starting to remind me, I think it was Lyra about 2 years ago. It was 2.5 years ago. Only playing physical damage junglers. Never any mage junglers like Elise or Nidalee or anything like that. And now Tahm Kench being picked up, and I really like that pick. You have the Zoe, you have the Tahm Kench. You can recalibrate your draft against the SANDBOX draft that is balls to the wall. They have to just go in at you and try to dive. And when you pick the Nocturne like that, it's a very themed pick. Okay, Griffin, why'd you have to go and pick Olaf?
They wanted to build Redemption.
Alright, well, Olaf is picked up. There's definitely other champions that would exist right now outside of the Olaf, but nonetheless, at least he will be able to try to peel for the Zoe and the Lucian, and he will definitely be able to ignore any of the knockups from Aatrox or the Gravity Field from Victor. Just be able to run at him. Okay, I thought that was about to... Alright, there we go. Victor bottom lane with the Galio.
Victor, Galio, just normal bot lane duos in 2019.
Yeah. And Solution Tahm Kench for the Griffin bot lane. And we're going to talk about what both of the team compositions want to be doing in just a second here. But I am really excited to see the Zoe for Chovy. This is definitely a champion that you can't sleep on. No pun intended. But at any point in the game, if she hits a bubble past 25 minutes, you can die. It doesn't matter how fed you are. You're going to need a QSS, or someone's going to need to body block for you. Zoe is scary in that regard.
She does have a lot of power in that way, but here are some of the compositions we're seeing.
And so Sion, Olaf, Zoe, Lucian, and Tahm Kench, they do have access to stopping split pushes later in the game. Zoe is the primary focus point of this team comp, where Olaf and Sion's main job in the late stages is just to peel for her and block as she open up the window to raising the turrets. On the flip side, Aatrox, Nocturne, Urgot, Victor, and Galio. This team spikes massively at 2 items. They're really strong at 1 item. They are monstrous at 2. After that, they all start tippering off. So SANDBOX has about a 25-minute clock to win this game.
Until they tip her off, isn't that right, Ellis?
Yeah.
Well, guys, we are getting ready to go into game number 3, Griffin versus SANDBOX. Will Griffin lose their first series, or will they go on to win it? Let's find out. There you go. SANDBOX, their cheers even getting really loud now as well, as we are totally packed out. We mentioned it before. Every single seat here is sat in. There's not an empty one, as all the tickets were sold. There are even people standing at the top to watch this game. They didn't even get a seat. They're just standing, and they're watching this one. And how could you miss it, especially after the last game? Historic in a way. Chovy going down from, I think it was 119, might have been 117 at his peak, down to around 59 KDA. which somehow feels small now in comparison. And also, Griffin lose their first game of 2019.
59. Pathetic.
I get
That's
that
what
in my
I think
sleep.
about that. Yeah, exactly.
Uh-oh,
Exactly.
Lehens and Viper, where are you going? They're just going to have to go down, but big knock-ups there on a Lehens. He wants to flash this wall. Will get it on in. Viper able to take the dash first. And I would say they lose the minimum from what looks like a really rough spot.
Yeah, we traded an Ignite for a flash, and it's a Tom Kench flash at that. So, definitely valuable, as normally his one flash can equal 2 if he ends up eating his teammate. So, now taking a quick peek at mid lane, Chovy shoving that Urgot in immediately.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you that Thomas Kenshin is in this game?
I am extremely happy, and Lehens, being an absolute Chad, knows to take the correct skin. The Kimchi Tom Kench skin has a weird animation, whereas this one has a visual, I believe, that you can actually do some cute things with it, with timings on his passive. The other skin is a little bit weird. So, Tom Kench enthusiasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got the expert here on the desk. Now that Tom Kench has been picked.
Best skin is Coin Emperor, of course, though.
Yeah.
And so far up in top lane, that is the lane that we might have to focus on, as Summit is the person to watch this game if he can try to take over. And Chovy constantly just shoving Dove in. He does have teleport, whereas Chovy is running heal. And interestingly, I would say that OnFleek's getting the worst end of the stick with the openings. He is going for the full clear on Nocturne, but he's conceding both of the Scuttle Crabs, and now Tarzan utilizing the priority of both lanes to say, hold on, wait a second, do you not have mana? And he comes in here, he's messing with the blue, and OnFleek's just wasting all of his time here. Looks like Griffin actually going to be able to get this blue.
Yeah.
As OnFleek goes to meet Grom.
Yes.
That's
Is this
Bertha.
Agatha or Bertha?
Bertha.
Oh, okay.
God.
I'm sorry, I'm not very good with names.
A and B. Left is A, right is B.
Okay, yeah,
right?
that makes
there
sense.
You go. Agatha's on the left-hand side.
Yeah. I would think you would have been clever and named the left side based on B for blue and then the right side on R for red. I guess that one kind of went over your
You just
head.
want to name change what you don't like, letter A.
Yeah, not a big fan.
All right, letters lives matter, okay, Brendan? All right, just want to let you know that.
Yeah. Well, OnFleek is a sad Nocturne as he doesn't have one of his buffs. Got 3 buffed and sits back and gets bullied by Olaf and the Tom Kench that went up to help him.
And look at the byproduct of this opening. Yes, his golems are going to come up around 420. He is pathing immediately to the wolves, and it's really interesting. He knows that these are here, and the way that he knows that is because he hit tab, he counted Olaf's CS. He's like, wait a minute, you can't be here at this timing if you did this route. And so he immediately passed over to the wolves. He knows that the rubber banded Gromp of Olaf is going to be coming up, actually, probably in about 10 seconds, I believe.
Right
yeah,
there.
It's right there. There it is. There's Agatha, right on time. He has the smite. She's never late. Uh-oh. Oh, no. If he gets the smite.
Oh.
Tarzan
went on to check the walls. Oh, the smite.
Oh.
So close, but here's the Predator. OnFleek already uses that. There's no plant. There's no plant in time, and OnFleek. Oh, no. He does get the fear down. He's still running. There's the next axe.
Yep.
And the next one. And see you later. They'll hand that one over to the side of Chovy.
Agatha
as
gave
the
him
risk did not pay off.
Oh, well, speaking of on time, Tarzan was on time as well to pick up that kill.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, Summit.
I think one more auto and flash few.
Yep. But it would come down to skill. Flash for flash, most likely. Summit would take a turret shot, but then Sword would immediately recall, and then Summit's on cooldown for his Q, so he can't push the wave as fast, and then Sword teleports back in. So, taking another quick look, OnFleek doesn't flash in time. Had he flashed over the wall immediately, I mean, it's still probably, no, you know what, there's actually no world. I'm not going to lie to you. There's no world he gets away. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. He can't get away there. Yeah. And I love that they gave it to Chovy.
Yeah, you know?
That's the best
He
usage
needs to build
of
up
the
his KDA.
Yep.
So now that he has 2 death skies, it doesn't add a 1 every time.
Yeah. Adds like a 0 point. I don't even know what
Is
number.
it 0.25 or 5?
I'm from NA. So.
Public school system failing us.
Don't ask me those questions. Ask me Tom
Someone
Hanks
can do the calculation and
Yeah.
tweet at us. Someone from a a different region, hopefully. Anyway,
All right.
it's
Thomas
probably
Kench.
0.5.
Oh, Thomas Kench has his flash again.
And you know what? Ghost is in a lot of trouble here. Oh! Oh no!
Oh.
I think he could have stutter stepped that better to get the devour.
Yeah, definitely could have.
Oh. That probably would have been a kill. No
Yep.
flash on Ghost. He's Victor. He's squishy.
Definitely would have been a kill.
Close one. But at least he does get the flash. Trades it with the Tom Kench, which is always nice. As, Summit, you're in a lot of trouble. Nice dodge there. He's forced to pull his ultimate out as well. He's just going to float underneath the turret and get away.
Oh, man. OnFleek does not have level 6. And now, with Chovy dishing out this damage and being in such close proximity, Dove is up a level, but doesn't really matter.
Red buff having trouble there.
Yeah, Red is not patient right now. That's going to reset.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't want to give this up. Sword has prio.
I think if Tarzan gets it too, he probably hits level 6.
Yeah.
Based on his experience bar right now. We haven't gotten a look at on Fleeks.
They're just going to give it up. They don't want to go for this kind of a coin flip.
Oh,
and so OnFleek ends up getting it. Still doesn't level up, though. He's not level 6.
Thomas getting on in there. But nothing happens.
Yep,
Tarzan returning to the top side as he's going to find a Nocturne. He's getting on in there and actually wants to go for the fight here. Won't be able to dodge that fear as Summit now. Well, you're not going to be able to. You're not tanky enough just yet, Sword.
So what's happening right here is, even if it doesn't seem like Tarzan's doing anything, he's delaying the recall of OnFleek, which prevents his ability to get level 6 and then try to affect bottom lane before they would want to recall. He's also simultaneously pranking Summit, standing for pressure gank, by making him potentially have to back up off the waves, miss XP, and he's really low without teleport. That's the main problem.
Yeah.
If he gets hit by undertows, his HP goes low enough, he can't stay in the lane against Sion, he can potentially miss hundreds of gold and XP, and it can really sway the way of the lane.
Yeah, it's very true. I was only chuckling because I love how you explain prank every single time.
We gotta get the lingo going.
Yeah.
You know?
Gotta, teach people about the LS lingo.
Prank's pretty reasonable.
I mean, it is, right? You're not going for the kill. You're just going there to help out your laner with your pressure.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
I like it.
Well, blue now being started by OnFleek. He does have level 6. I don't know if they'll actually give it to the Sion. He does have 3 corrupting potions. He's not even using any of them. It doesn't look like they will hand it over. Not the Sion, I'm sorry. The Urgot. Oh, they actually give it to Ghost.
Okay.
Yeah. That's actually good.
It's a really good idea.
Yep.
He's already low on mana, too, so it's going to be really helpful, but it allows him to just continue pushing back against that Lucian.
Yep. Ghost doesn't have teleport, so this does let him sustain in the lane quite a while longer. And right here, mid lane is just basically a handshake. Nice little poke coming out by Zoe as she does know that she's about to get a new summoner, or item active, on that minion death. Oh, sword. Sword. Taking a really nice trade against Atrox.
Yep.
Wow.
Fantastic. Trying to force out that ult, but not going to come close. And you can see the difference in health now. Sion having a ball up in the top lane.
And he has those Ninja Tabby. He's going to get the Glacial Shroud soon. And this is the other problem that the SANDBOX gaming team competition is going to face in the mid game is, how do you answer Sion? 3 of your champions do no damage to him. Victor isn't going to have the HP or the AP necessary to damage him either. So he's just going to be a constant nuisance into your potential backline, or he's going to be an immovable wall that doesn't allow you to ever reach Zoe.
Yeah. Feels a lot different to game number 2, where from behind could barely do anything up against the Akali that was fed in the side lane. If things go well in the early game for Griffin, could see the Sion become an unkillable wall.
Well, looks like OnFleek wants to try to get something going. It's just so hard, it seems, for him to actually find an opening. And, jungling, a lot of people think of it as an isolated 1v1, but your laner sort of has stuff to do with it too. You know, if a lane state is in an ungankable position, you just can't do anything. Doesn't matter who you are.
It's very true, and we had an interesting map play here where both Joker and Ghost were heading up. Now, Ghost was about to get his TP back, so in case a fight broke out around the Rift Herald, he would have been able to get back down to the bottom lane. And in fact, Viper not going to stick around to pick up the plate at the same time. So Victor goes back down, clears it up, and Rift Herald is started here by the side of Griffin.
Magnificent auto attacks by Thomas. Of course they take it off the screen, it's the best part. And now, I mean, Griffin almost at a 2,000 gold lead. Mountain Drake is up, and when you know that the enemy is actually doing Herald, why didn't Nocturne just path immediately into the Mountain Drake? I mean, look at the ward coverage that they have around it, and maybe you can think to yourself, okay, well, Thomas has the Abyssal Voyage. He can just come to the mountain. Well, Summit was under a lot of pressure anyway. Probably just wants to get out of that lane, giving him a reason to teleport when Sion is low on mana to a degree. Not that unreasonable, and Mountain Drake is something that you definitely do want to pick up. Now they're going to go for it, but you know what? Olaf's done with Herald. Thomas Kench is back here.
Yeah, they're making a case to try to come in here. Here comes the Predator on the side of Tarzan.
Yep.
Getting in range. And
thanks
now,
for the leash.
Yep. Oh, it is going to leash itself. And still pretty low on health, as Griffin say thank you. As you were mentioning, SANDBOX not willing to actually take any fights at this moment in time, and so they just give it away.
Yeah, it was a really nice leash by SANDBOX, and now they're falling behind in tempo, and now with no real objective on the right-hand side, but Herald also having been taken, the laning phase can just continue as is. There's no reason to rotate your bottom lane up to the top half of the map to be in close proximity to that Rift Herald. And then also, with a minute remaining on the plates, Griffin can still easily look to try to use the Herald somewhere, and maybe the location they would think to use it is down in bottom, but doesn't look likely, as bottom lane is recalling. There were 5 very healthy plates.
Yeah, it's very
Nothing's
true.
Gonna be picked up.
Unfortunately, Sword did miss that cannon, but not the biggest steal. Makes it up to the top side, just doing Sion things. As, once again, down in the bottom side, Abyssal Voyage, they make it back on time. Black Cleaver completed here for the Urgot. He's feeling pretty good on that first item that you were mentioning. Triple stopwatch as well on the side of SANDBOX, so look for that in the next fight. I say that, and then I look at the side of Griffin. They also have triple stopwatch.
And I just want to talk about something. We were talking about last game about Cassiopeia and LeBlanc, and I was mentioning how I had a tweet earlier that Riot Maple had responded to with the current state of the meta right now. Mid lane is this immovable wall right now. Urgot acts as this neutralizer, where you can't really kill him, he won't kill you, great. But last game, we got to see Cassiopeia versus LeBlanc. We got to see knife fights, where 2 champions have explosive amounts of damage. They both have to and want to fight each other. And it's a lot more exciting of a lane to watch, whereas, okay, I mean, Zoe's exciting.
Yep, Dove taking a ton of damage, but in comes the Nocturne, and it looks like, oh no, Chovy in a lot of trouble, is gonna flash away, and there's Tom Kent to save his life over the wall. Meanwhile, Viper takes a 1v1. Dove getting extremely low. One more axe is gonna do it. Just gonna stomp him down with the reckless swing as they are trying to get that Sleepy Trouble Bubble, but it is going to be spell shielded. In comes the culling, and Joker, my good friend, you are going to be going down as Griffin able to stopwatch away from the damage. They're taking all the fights now.
Yeah, and this is what we talked about earlier. Griffin, they might not be the ones to instigate these long extended fights, but they'll certainly be the ones to end it sometimes. As it looks like Chovy was certainly going to die there, but then Thomas, he was quick to pick her up with that Devour, throw her safely over the edge. But Chovy knew, okay, I'm now safe. I can get back into this fight. I still have at least another bubble I can throw, try to add some more damage. He jumped right back in, and they found themselves the mid-tier 1 turret, and Summit having a bit hard of a, or, you know, having some trouble up in top lane this game.
Yeah, Tarzan's there, lands the Undertow, and now Sword is going.
Oh!
Bit of emoting. Okay, we're getting feisty in this game. Sword saying hello. I got wrecked in game 2, but I'm here in game 3, dominating your top lane.
Take another quick look at this replay. Ghost runs into a Lucian.
Oh, hello.
That is not double lift versus Victor, or versus Crown, but meanwhile, Chovy hit the bubble, followed up onto Dove, and then OnFleet came right in with the fear. It looked like certain death. Managed to pick up the red smite right there and get the damage reduction, and then Nocturne having to use that stopwatch as well, as Lehens was there to pick up Chovy, throw him into safety. Tarzan really angry at Urgot. And then Joker right there, he tried to get the E away, but Tarzan able to body block it, and then Viper with the culling, able to make Joker use the stopwatch, but stopwatch, bit of a useless. He was never going to live, so just wasted the item.
Yeah. Got to be careful about that, but perhaps a bit of desperation there. Wanted to survive, understandably, but did go down. And now everybody on the side of SANDBOX has a death except the Aatrox in the top side. We will have another Mountain Drake on the side of the Dragon, so it'll be interesting to see if Griffin can pick that up or if SANDBOX can deny it with the steal.
Second Mountain Drake of the game. We talk about how 1 is a really nice novelty. Definitely helps with the outer tier 1s if you get it early enough. Can definitely help for Baron potential. 2 is the real unique number where suddenly 2-man Barons are a real thing. Olaf and Lucian can 2-man the Baron now.
Yeah, absolutely.
That second Mountain is so important because it lets 2 members act as 4 as long as one's the tank or if both have insane damage output.
Tarzan checking with the scanner, saying hello, Dove. As everybody's posturing around this Drake, you'll notice that Sword doesn't have TP. He's forcing a fight with Summit, who does have TP. Nobody's making a big move towards the Drake just yet, because they're going to push out the bottom lanes first.
And right now, oh,
nice
narrowly.
angle.
Oh, yep.
Dove now has to go north, but he's a tanky boy. He's quite thick.
Chovy.
Okay, looking for that one, but Tarzan might be in a little bit of trouble here. It does get gobbled up. And okay, NotFleek going on in with the hero's entrance. Not going to be able to lock anyone down. That was a scary moment.
Oh,
but here's
Summit.
Oh, this is a fantastic flank. Can he get that damage onto Lehens? The double kill,
No!
the double knockup as Chovy goes down once again. Lehens is going to get away, but he couldn't save his brother in Chovy as he does eat another death.
Oh, Chovy's KDA is dropping faster than Bitcoin, Brendan.
Oh, no.
I don't know what's going on. Oh, that's going to be a Mountain Drake going over to SANDBOX, and it's a really great setup by Summit, able to get that flank. And they're going to be able to reward themselves with a Mountain Drake. And that's a really, really clutch moment in the game. They really needed this. We take another look. You can see Chovy trying to go over the wall here to get a little bit more poke. Tarzan trying to force an issue. He didn't have to. Chaos Storm comes out over the edge. Hero's entrance. You can see Summit teleporting. And Sword wasn't able to stop this. He comes around. He gets the flank. And then Lehens doesn't have flash available. He can't just eat Chovy and try to flash him to safety. He gets gobbled up by the Urgot. And then SANDBOX able to convert that into a Mountain Drake. And that's a very much needed swing that SANDBOX needed in this game.
Yeah, you mentioned how there was no interrupt on the TP. I feel like if Sword was able to see him, he may have dove that turret and stopped the TP from happening, but Paranoia comes in, and unfortunately Sword not able to do much. We mentioned how he didn't have his TP anyway, and so that doesn't mean that Chovy goes down. It is just the 1 kill and the Drake, which is nice to the side of SANDBOX, but Griffin's still in control of this game, about 3,500 gold ahead.
And now Ghost and Joker trying to get this turret. And as well, I mean, you look at the itemization, soon they will be completing their second items. That is where their team composition spikes the most. That's where, if they're going to try to take fights against Griffin, it's going to be the greatest chance to do so. The problem, however, Griffin's a little bit ahead. And because they're ahead, they're moving on to their third item on some of their champions. And that can actually prove to be disastrous for that decisive team fight that would often be happening in a couple of minutes from now.
we'll see if they find an opening in this game to potentially take a good fight, even if they are down on gold. I'm sure with those item timings you're talking about, they may decide to go in onto a fight if it looks good, if it looks appetizing. We do have Mountain Drakes for both teams, so keep your eyes on the Baron and on some of the other objectives as this game moves along. We do also have a Cloud Drake next, so not a lot of Infernals in this series. Lots of Cloud Drakes, some Mountains.
Well, not too much able to happen anymore. Aatrox has hit the point where Sion not going to be able to really move him anymore, as the sustain is going to be too strong. And almost a 4K gold lead here for Griffin at the 22-minute mark. Blue being handed off into Chovy, and this is where I like to say that the game enters into a lull state. We're basically just going to have both teams bounce waves back and forth, not really accomplish anything, and it's because they really can't. They're waiting for item completions. There's no neutral objective on the map that realistically either team can try to attempt to take without it being a really big gamble. So everyone's just going to sort of clear out vision, be patient, red buff go over to Viper, Dragon going to spawn in a minute and a half. Nothing's going to happen until these items get completed unless someone makes a really big misstep.
That is certainly the case, as they are looking to find someone as Chovy as well. There you have it. One Trouble Bubble lands. On Fleek is going to block with the Spell Shield, but Chovy specifically, level 14, has that big ability to just get on in there with these walls at the red side jungle of the red team, throw Trouble Bubbles over them, and just be, in general, very annoying. And if you find the meaty part of the sandbox, you find that Victor, you're going to be very happy if there's no one there to protect him.
Oh, that was a really close call. It is Galio, though, so not the end of the world if he gets hit. He just turns on W. Fight would not break out. Chovy trying to do his best, and this is basically all that he can hope to do here on the Zoe. And we talked about this earlier. Zoe bubbles can completely change the dynamic of a game if one hits. It is the worst feeling in the world to get hit by one at like the 25, 30-minute mark. It's like impending doom. It's like watching a planet fall onto the earth or something.
Oh, no. Yeah, it definitely feels bad. We've all been there against a fed Zoe. Just remember the last time Chovy played Zoe. I think it was against Jin Air or something as well, where he just like demolished them. He was something like 11-0. By the end of the game, he was having a fun time. Not quite the case this time around. He's not running away. He is just 1-1-1 on his KDA for this game. So, looking to get some more needlessly large rods, maybe a cool hat. Has the defensive arm guard as well, just for a bit of safety against all that AED in the top side of the map.
Well, here we're having the Cloud Drake be taken by Griffin, and we're going to take a look at what the next, another Cloud Drake. Really unfortunate, but I guess SANDBOX given a chance to equalize that with a Cloud Drake of their own if they could get to it.
And not much here. As you mentioned, the lull state is in full effect.
Not the lull state, Brendan. All right, Twitch chat probably likes that. No.
What do you call it?
It sounds very much like
the lull state.
Lull, yeah. Like the emote.
Okay.
Well,
here comes Sion, but
yeah,
no Trouble Bubble is going to land, and Tarzan is desperately trying to get a fight to go. Righteous Glory does come in. They force the TP onto this side. Can they get enough CC? He is able to pop his ultimate. Going to the back line is the Nocturne, but not quite able to make anything happen. Tarzan is totally isolated. Went too deep. Viper nearly able to take out a couple of members. Both Joker and on FLICKR are extremely low. Chovy trying to get on in there with some fake flashes, but not quite able to get anybody down on the side of SANDBOX, and everybody does get away with their life.
Yeah. Oh! Okay. Urgot is quite tanky. So at the end of that, they only end up losing Tarzan. They did lose some summoners, but SANDBOX definitely comes out ahead. They are going to pick up the red buff there of SANDBOX's, well, SANDBOX's red for Viper. Take a look at this. So, Sword just crashes into the Wraith wall right there. They're trying to force the agenda inside the red side jungle. And this can actually be seen as sort of like an emotional play in a sense where this doesn't need to happen. This fight isn't really necessary. They took it anyway. Tarzan gets lit up right there. Viper so close to being able to pick off Joker. And also, on Fleek, almost went down himself. Not quite at the end there.
Airy ain't no thing. He's going to be fine. Gets away. Still only on the one death. And maintains his GA, most importantly, which means that he can continue to just go all in every single time. That's the combo with the Galio support that they do have. You can always go in without thinking too much about it, onto the squishiest champion, zone everybody away, especially if you know you have Galio behind you, and especially if you have your GA and you know that it will delay your eventual death, even in the case of a bad team fight.
Speaking of team fights, one probably is going to be brewing here in a couple of moments' time, although the dragons that have spawned, double cloud back-to-back, certainly not helping with the ability for both teams to basically just say, hey, we're not actually going to fight. No one's going to achieve anything. We're going to lock each other in to this 3K, 4K deficit or gap between us, but that's pretty much it. And as the game continues to go on, a gold gap of 3 or 4K at 35 minutes, it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I want to bring your attention to the top side near the Baron. The vision there from SANDBOX is stellar. They had a triangle of control wards towards the top lane even. And that one in the backside of the pit is a little bit too deep. They're going to bring Viper on the back and escort him so that he can get this down as Griffin looked to reclaim some of the vision. That was very nice from the side of SANDBOX.
Now at this point, Dragon up in a minute. Probably Griffin looked like they are the one in the driver's seat, likely going to be able to just pick that up immediately. Curious to see if they'll actually wait a little bit before consuming it to guarantee the force of an Elder spawn or not.
Well, we're still here with this fight that did happen the last time, but no other fight since then. You can see that the gold difference is slowly declining, but not really at too fast of a pace as it hangs around 3,000. No gigantic change overall as, oh yeah, Tarzan didn't get the redemption this game. Actually, it just went pretty standard in this one. Kind of interesting.
And for viewers that have been watching for the last 10 minutes, those are not typos at the top. This is indeed Griffin versus SANDBOX, not Gen G versus Jin Air.
Yes.
So, even though the game is not having anything happen, this is indeed the two undefeated teams in the league right now. Cloud Drake.
They're struggling.
So here's the interesting point. If you take the Cloud Drake immediately, it forces another elemental dragon to spawn. If you wait until 30 minutes, it causes the Elder to spawn. And it looks like neither team really going to get that option available to them. And so now we're guaranteed to get an Elder.
Okay, here comes Sword trying to land that big stun over the wall. Get that on top of Summit. He's really the target here, but Joker also getting low. And Summit in a lot of trouble here. Gets over the wall himself, does have a GA. They really want to get it. There it is. And now Sion can just do his thing. See you later, Aatrox. That's going to be 2 kills to the side of Griffin, as perhaps they make their way towards the Cloud Drake now after getting their nice little bounties.
I really hope that the Cloud Drake was worth it. That was definitely going to cost them the game if they lost that.
Yeah, you know, probably not good to funnel yourself in up against this kind of composition too. As, on Flake. Looks like maybe he was clearing out a ward, but now he does not have his flash.
They needed the MS. That was the most important part. They needed that movement speed that Drake was going to offer. Let's look at it again. So here we have SANDBOX, who are trying to stall the game committing all their resources in to capture the 100 gold Cloud Drakes so that their champions that are permanently on the defensive can have some bonus movement speed. And here, Sword, you can see he sort of has a pseudo wraparound flank, and Tarzan able to just charge in there. Summit next to go, ends up losing his Guardian Angel to boot. And 10 minutes climax like that. SANDBOX were doing a very good job at turtling and stalling, and to see it thrown away over something as small as a Cloud Drake is really sad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you call it out because they were doing so well, and that wasn't worth it, 100%. They get themselves into an awful position. Unfortunately, this time kind of led on the charge by Summit in the front. I'm sure he felt unkillable on, you know, GA Aatrox, right? But kind of sent his entire team into that one. Stun comes down. They may want to go into this fight. VIPR forced to get away. The Paranoia does come in, but no engage here from OnFleek. Now he's going to get onto VIPR into the backline. Does he have the damage? No. As his GA will eventually go down. Aatrox also doesn't have his health. Yeah. He's forced to get away from this one. OnFleek and Joker go down, and a couple more kills do go the way of Griffin. And wow, okay, here we go. We got some more fighting. The Abyssal Voyage coming on in. Zoe is unbelievably fast on the backside. They're just wrapping around, trying to get all the kills as SANDBOX Gaming once again from behind try to force a fight. They're going to be punished for it this time around.
Yeah, in SANDBOX's team composition, I mean, had they taken this fight before the Clown Drake Fiesta, maybe they would have had a better chance. But like what we were talking about earlier, this team comp peaked at 2 items. Griffin isn't on even footing. They were really far ahead prior to this fight. And SANDBOX's team comp had to be ahead. So the fact that they were as far behind as they are, I mean, it doesn't spell good things for them. And I can't see a way that SANDBOX can recover in this game. Just take a look at this team fight. Sion right in the front. This is what you want. Lucian and Zoe able to play front to back. Sion and Olaf acting as basic peelers that are also simultaneously threatening the backline. Summit getting manhandled up in the top, and then even though Galio and friends try to go onto VIPR, they don't have enough damage, and Victor can never actually reach the backline.
It's just kind of a botched fight from there, as Griffin, in fact, in their composition, they do have many ways to get behind you and catch up to you, especially with the Cloud Drake. So once the dominoes started falling, you knew many, many more were coming. And it came out in 3 more kills, as well as a Baron to the side of Griffin. Now they're 9,000 gold ahead, and it doesn't look like much of a chance that SANDBOX can come back into this. They're going to need a miracle. We'll see if they can pull it off. As well, here we go, this double TP.
They're all in.
As they're going on in, and OnFleek just disappears in the front line. See you later. Summit also, once again, getting manhandled. See you later, Dove as well. Desperation setting in full course. They're just going to wait until that ultimate does stick out for the Aatrox and eventually take him out. That's 4 more kills to the side of Griffin, as they should be taking down game number 3.
And as they approach the Nexus, only corpses are behind them, and a ghost.
Yes.
And the Nexus is teleporting.
He's like, no, get me out of here. Nope, let's get some more KDA for Toby. GG, guys, 2-1 to the side of Griffin. They remain undefeated in series, although they did bleed tonight. Props to SANDBOX. They were able to take 1 game away from Griffin, who had 19 game wins in a row since the Kespa Cup, I do believe. And they fall. Toby's KDA falls in a big way. Took 2 deaths here in game number, maybe it was just the 1, but more and more deaths to him. So his number begins to fall, unfortunately, but Griffin still remain on top of the LCK.
Yeah, and Griffin, I mean, the manner in which they lost game number 2, I mean, the analogy I tried to make about the weightlifting, they had a worse team composition, and the enemy had several super powerful picks, but also the dynamic in top lane, the Akali for Summit, was able to just do so much. And Chovy and VIPR got set behind. Credit to Ghost and Joker for helping get that going, but they weren't able to pull together. And so it was an impressive win for SANDBOX. They definitely showed that they can win against a team of Griffin's caliber, but Griffin still look a cut above the rest. And that's very evident by game number 1 and game number 3.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, at least though we begin to see what exactly is the way to take games away from Griffin. You kind of just have to outplay them in the early game and play to your win conditions and have a comp that scales decently. A lot of people are going to point to the draft from Griffin in game number 2, where you give them away Akali first, and then you give them away Lucian Cassiopeia. And then you give away more comfort for Lee Sin and Galio on the side. It was basically the perfect sandbox combo and composition, and they were able to pilot that to a victory. The only other team that's really gotten close was Hanwha Life, as I mentioned before. But it does prove that some of these teams do have a chance to get up to the top, and it makes you begin to reevaluate which teams are on the top after Griffin. Griffin's still obviously number 1, but I think after today you got to call Sandbox number 2, maybe SKT number 3, Hanwha Life number 4. I think that would be my lineup from there. It'll be interesting to see SKT versus Hanwha Life, which is coming tomorrow with you and Atlas. That'll be the second matchup.
I'm getting all the big games.
That's a big one. That's actually a big one when you consider it, because that could be third place versus fourth place, Atlas.
And taking a look at the highlight, this is actually where it all starts going downhill. This is where Nocturne falls really far behind in tempo. He had the right idea. Let me try to pick up that rubber band Gromp, but just a little bit unfortunate. Got hit by the undertow. No way for him to get out there. Laners for Griffin permanently had priority. And then even when OnFleek tried to make these plays happen, it just didn't matter. Like, for instance, right here, Thomas Kench running right up the river. He is the River King. Able to pick up Chovy up, get him to safety as Tarzan then dogged down Dove. Brought him back to the jungle. And overall, I mean, the game was very Griffin-esque, like in game number 3. And in game number 2, you have to give Sandbox credit for winning and getting ahead, and also doing a lot very well individually, but also you have to acknowledge that Griffin were looking very robotic in their play with how patient they were trying to salvage and recover the game.
This was the first moments where you think, hey, maybe Sandbox can actually come back into this one. This was around the mid-game where they're hitting that 2-item timing. A really fantastic teleport from Summit to get on in there, but we skip ahead past the lull state. I'm sure you guys enjoyed that moment, but...
And look at this team fight. This is sort of what I was talking about in Champ Select. Sion is telling Victor, you can't reach the back line. The rest of your teammates don't have any damage. And Zoe and Lucian, they're just laughing at the tickling that the other champs are dishing out. So Victor can't do anything to get past the Sion and the Olaf.
And they chase him down once again. They dog him down through the jungle as Tarzan didn't need a redemption in this game.
This was the last desperation play. They all in, praying that maybe they can try to assassinate Viper, but he had that stopwatch available to him. And right there, I mean, this is lights out. Summit getting taken care of on the right-hand side. Tarzan missed the undertow. Didn't really matter. And that was the end of the game. Shortly thereafter, Ghost teleports to the ward as the Nexus falls.
And then he died. So you mentioned corpses and a ghost behind them, as Griffin will put Sandbox behind them in the first round here of the LCK. Should be a relief, I'm sure, to their side that they were able to take the win, although we did begin to see how some of these teams can actually make Griffin bleed.
If anyone but Tarzan gets the MVP this game, we're going to have to ask for a recount, because...
You know, I wish we had a say. I wish we had a vote, LS.
He got the first blood going, gave it over to Chovy.
Yeah.
He pranked Aatrox in top lane, shoved Nocturne around at the golems.
All right, see you later, LS.
I'm done. Take it off my head.
Take it off. See ya.
I'm done.
Viper, he's a good player. You know, he found a Victor in the jungle, and again, I mean, his Lucian is quite good, and he did play it very, very well. He didn't die. But, you know, I kind of agree with you. It's hard to find a reason why maybe Viper would have gotten this one, as Tarzan feels a little bit robbed. But either way, that does go over to them. Feeling good, LS?
No.
Feeling happy after that one?
No, I'm not.
Well,
I thought the other MVP candidate would actually be Tom Kench, but
yeah.
I thought it would go Tarzan Lehens, but apparently not.
Well, we're not listening to LS's tier list this time around. No Listenek in this one as... Guys, we are going to be hearing from the interview. Let's hand it over to Ji-sun for the translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Ji-sun with today's interview translation, and we're going to be joined by Chovy and Viper from Griffin. Congratulations. How do you feel right now? You are on the 6 games winning streak. So this is our last series before the long vacation, so I'm really happy that we got the victory.
저도 이겨서 기분이 많이 좋은 것 같아요.
I'm happy that we won.
So
So you're going back to your family for a while, right?
잠은 잘 잘 수 있을 것 같아요.
I think I'm gonna have a really good sleep.
자, 오늘 1세트 시작하면서 초비 선수의 KDA가
Chovy.
큰 관심사였습니다.
Everyone is so hyped about your KDA. It actually did drop a bit.
아쉬운 것보다
I'm not really that sad. Well, I feel relieved rather. So there's no pressure no more, so I can play more comfortably.
내려놓으면 경기가 더 집중이 될 것 같아요. 초비 선수 전승 카드
Chovy.
중에 가장 기록이 좋은 아칼리 오늘도
Akali
꺼내들었습니다.
was
그러셨어요. 상대가 여러
stacking up another victory. It has 100% win
솔직히
rate.
아칼리 상대가 막을 줄 알았는데 풀렸을
Well, I
때
expected them to ban it out, but
아칼리
when they let
풀려서 되게
me
기분
play it,
좋게
I was really happy to lock it in.
네, 이 용합 판타에서 궁과 풀로
there was
상대를
this
더블
team
킬을
fight
낸
near the
장면이 있었는데
Drake.
그때 상대 속으로 돌진을
You
하면서
were
아,
just
내가
going
죽을 수도
all
있겠다.
in
KD
into the
어떡하지?
enemies.
이런 생각이
Weren't you worried
조금이라도 안
about your
들었어요.
KDA?
당연히 죽으려도 하지도 않았고
Not at all.
다 죽여야겠다 이 생각하고 들어갔어요.
I was just thinking I'm gonna
네,
kill them
정말
all.
멋지게 이렇게 더블킬을
There goes the
잡아냈습니다.
double kill on you.
자, 1세트 아주 멋진
Game one
경기력으로 그리핀이
was very
가져갔는데요.
clean,
2세트는 다소
but game
아쉬웠습니다.
two, SANDBOX
바이퍼 선수 혹시 2세트
got their rhythm
끝나고
back.
3세트 들어갈 때
So what
어떤
kind of
각오로
feedback went back
임하셨나요?
and forth after game 2?
그냥 딱히 신경 쓰지 않고 저희
We weren't really
페이스
bothered.
유지하자는
We were
생각으로
just trying to
했던 것
focus our
네.
own
초비 선수는
rhythm and pace.
팀원들과 얘기
We weren't really
나누셨나요?
that sad about it.
같아요. 따로 나눌 얘기는 없고
Yeah, there wasn't specific
다시
feedbacks.
가다듬고
We were just
성적이
trying to
잘
remain
맞아보고
calm and
그렇게 했던 것 같아요.
concentrate for
네,
game 3.
정말 잘 가다듬고 3세트 아주 멋지게
That did
가져왔습니다.
work out fine in
초비
game
선수는
3.
가장 좋아하는 조이를 꺼내 드셨어요.
You played your
오랜만에
favorite
만나는
champion,
것 같은데
Zoe.
여전히 조이
It has been a
선호하시나요?
while. Do you still prefer playing it?
요즘 또 조이가 좋은 챔피언인 것 같아요. 항상
I
상대할
think
때나
Zoe is
직접
really
할
good
때나.
nowadays.
네.
Yeah,
알겠습니다.
whenever I'm facing it or whenever I'm playing it, it's
자,
a
그리고
really good
바이퍼
champion.
선수 오늘
And
성년자로
Viper,
또 이름을 날리고 있는 고스트
who
선수와
took
맞붙으셨어요.
down
어떠셨나요?
The Holy Spirit Ghost. How was the matchup?
재미있었던 것 같아요. 제가
It was exciting.
때좀 실수를 해서
I did make some mistakes during the games previously,
이겨서
but
다행이라고
I'm really happy that we got the
네,
win
조금
win in the
까다로웠지만
end.
이어서 기분 좋다고 말씀해 주셨고요. 바이퍼 선수의 루시안 1세트, 3세트
Viper.
승리의 그곳마다 루시안이 있었습니다.
Games
루시안에
1
대한
and
생각은
3, you
어떠신가요?
both played Lucian. How do you rate Lucian as a
솔직히
champion right
이렇게
now?
다른 팀원이 받을 줄 알았는데 팀원들이
Well,
너무
I actually
잘해줘서
thought other
사실
players would get the
제가 딱히 한
MVP.
건 없었고
I haven't done anything
그냥
special.
보이는 대로
All the
때리자고
other
해서
players were doing so well.
때렸더니
I was just hitting any
사기치네요.
enemy in front of me and I got the
그게
MVP.
잘 작용했던 것 같아요.
네, 바이퍼 선수와 루시안 정말 잘 어울리는 것 같습니다. 오늘 샌드박스가 그동안
샌드박스.
그리핀이 하나도 내주지 않았던 억제기 그리고
Was the
넥서스까지
first team
했습니다.
to take
많은
down
시간이
your
드실 것
inhibitor
같아요.
and then the
물론 승리를
Nexus.
했지만 다음 경기가 KT 전인데요. 어떤
Well,
각오로
your next
임하실
opponent will be
건지
KT
부탁드릴게요.
Roaster, so how are you going to prepare for that?
따로 각오할 건 없는 것 같고
Well, nothing really
지금까지
special.
했던 대로 계속
We're
열심히
just going to keep our hard work
것 같아요.
going and
네,
keep
초비 선수
practicing.
앞으로도 응원하겠고요. 바이퍼 선수 KT가
Viper.
작년 서머 결승전
KT Roaster was the one
상대잖아요. 조금
who you
걱정되거나
faced against
아니면
at the
준비하실
last
건
year's
있을까요?
summer split finals. Are you a bit worried?
안 하면 괜찮을 것 같아요.
Well, if I get rid
제가
of that
한 말씀
memory, it will be
잊어주시길
okay.
네.
바라겠습니다. 자, 오늘 인터뷰 감사드리고요.
This will
명절
be the end of
행복하게
the interview with
보내시길
Chovy and Viper
바라겠습니다.
from Griffin.
팬분들께도
And I'm
명절
gonna pass it
잘
back to
보내시라고
our
인사하면서 안녕하면서
casters.
끝낼게요. 네, 여러분 감사합니다. 명절 잘
Bye
보내세요.
bye.
안녕.
Happy holidays.
Thank you, Ji-sun. Happy holidays, guys, if you do celebrate the Lunar New Year. But there is another cast tomorrow, as LS will be joined by Atlas. It will be a pretty good day. It's going to be Kingzone and Gen G going head-to-head, as well as SKT versus Hanwha Life. But this is our updated standings right now. Griffin up at the top, after taking out that win. SANDBOX in second, but they took a game off of Griffin, which is definitely going to help their indicator score and just their pride in general to be able to take down such a strong team, LS.
Yes, and I mean, tomorrow's matches, like you were highlighting, they're really important for the standings.
Yeah.
All the teams, both it's another very important day. Today was really important for the middle of the pack standings, but also the highest end with the Griffin SANDBOX. And tomorrow, yet another really important day. It's not like one of the mismatch days where someone like Griffin is playing one of the bottom place teams or something.
Yeah.
So definitely look forward to that tomorrow. Kingzone versus Gen.G, and then the really big match, SKT versus Hanwha Life, because we were just talking about who's after these two, who's after Griffin and SANDBOX in the tier list for standing in the LCK.
Yeah, it feels like the left side of the the standings that we do, kind of like West versus East Coast. That's becoming like a meme on the Korean side. I don't really know why, but on the left side, Griffin SANDBOX seem 1-2, pretty solid right now.
Yeah,
and then it's like Kingzone, SKT, and Hanwha Life all just competing against each other for that 3rd place, 4th place, and 5th place. So very interesting development here in 2019. So guys, that's going to be the end of the cast. Thank you once again for watching. As always, we love you. Good night.
You take me higher when I feel low. Make my world brighter when I'm alone. I keep on rolling, all with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dream come true.